I want to especially welcome those who've traveled a really long way. There's at least 20 of you who've come from Ukraine to be here with us, so I'm particularly grateful. So please let's welcome them in particular. Part of my job is just to say thank you. There's a lot of people I need to thank. First, thanks everybody for coming. But I need to particularly thank my friends at the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, USTDA. It's the most interesting government agency that many of you have not heard of, but I think you will after today. My friend, Director Ebong, one of the things that USTDA does, among several, is they finance reverse trade missions, and they finance the reverse trade mission of Ukrainians who came and were here for this week. And one of the anchor events was this conference. So thank you, Director Ebong, and we'll hear from Director Ebong shortly. I also want to thank my really good friend, Sergiy Tsivkach, who is the CEO of UkraineInvest. This is an official, the investment promotion agency of the Ukrainian government. The UkraineInvest and USTDA were our two core partners to get this all started. So they believed in this idea 9 months ago when this was just an idea, and they were the ones that took the risk. And so when we had UkraineInvest and we had USTDA, and UkraineInvest was a key partner in helping to identify business leaders from Ukraine and government leaders and helping us secure the very high caliber speakers that we have. So thank you, Sergiy. Thank you very much. I need to also thank our financial sponsors. I want to first start with our friends at Deloitte. You guys have been awesome. Thank you, Deloitte. You have been just amazing. Thank you very, very much. I want to thank USAID. I want to thank Google. I want to thank Cargill. I want to thank my friends at Invenergy. I want to thank Tetra Tech. I want to thank ADM. It couldn't have happened without all of you. So thanks for giving us the wind beneath our wings to make this all happen. Thank you. I also want to thank my colleagues, the CSIS staff. I'm going to get into trouble if I name everybody, but there's been an incredible amount of people who worked really, really hard for this conference. Madeline McLean, Austin Hardman, Ramina Bandura, Tracy Starr are all folks who are currently here. Connor Savoy and Yanina Stagun, who have taken on wonderful government roles and joined the Biden administration or have joined doing IPAs at the Defense Department, were really key as well. There's many, many other people, as well as CSIS affiliates and other CSIS programs you're going to see throughout the day. So in June 2022, CSIS convened the bipartisan and international Ukraine Economic Reconstruction Commission with the aim of producing a policy framework that will help attract private sector investments for Ukraine's future reconstruction and transformation. To support the commission, CSIS convened a series of working groups. We convened 30 working groups on a range of policy issues and sectors that are critical to modernizing the Ukrainian economy. The activities over the past 14 months included, amongst others, one major commission report, which is outside, and 20 policy briefs. They're also outside. Through this work, CSIS has established itself as a leader in Ukraine's reconstruction and as a place for problem solving and practical thinking about the economic future of Ukraine. I'm not interested in doing theoretical work. We're interested in doing practical problem solving work. So thank you all for helping us make that happen. And as an extension of this work, we're hosting this conference to dig deeper into the immediate and longer term barriers to investment in Ukraine and identify practical solutions to address these concerns. Here's my deepest thought. I've been in probably 200 meetings, we've done 30 seminars, we've done 20 papers. My deepest thought is that we have to align the reconstruction and reform with Ukraine joining the European Union. And I know that sounds weird from an American saying that, but what I say to American audiences, what would you have done in college to join the coolest fraternity or the coolest sorority in college? What hazing would you have put up with? There's not enough foreign aid, there ain't enough white papers, there ain't enough seminars to change the trajectory of the country of Ukraine. What will change the country of Ukraine is the potential of joining the coolest club in the world. The European Union is the coolest club in the world. So that's the prize. We need to align reform, we need to align engagement and partnership with that. So we have a plenary panel specifically about that later this morning. So that is my deepest thought. I have several other deep thoughts that we'll talk about, but that is, I think, the meta frame, the way I think about this. Okay, So before I turn to Sergiy and then Director Ebong, I want to go through some housekeeping items. Regarding safety, I will serve as your responsible safety officer at this event. Please follow my instructions should the need arise. Finally, take a moment to familiarize yourself with our emergency exit pathways for this room. Plenaries, the big meetings, will happen in this room. For those of you who don't know CSIS, we wanted people who had never heard of CSIS to come to this meeting, and I suspect several of you have never heard of us before, and I'm really happy you're here if you've never heard of us before. We have a really nice building, and we do really interesting stuff, so you're particularly welcome if you've never heard of us, so thank you. So it'll happen in this room, the plenaries. We will have two tracks of breakouts. Breakouts will take place on this floor here and here, as well as one floor downstairs. There are going to be board signs outside each room to guide you. Lunch and breakfast are served outside this room in the atrium. The conference is not live streamed. I did that on purpose. I'm sorry, because I didn't want people watching this in their pajamas in Chantilly, Virginia. I wanted you all to come here, right? So you could all talk to each other, right? Okay. But we will be recording the sessions and uploading them to our CSIS YouTube channel next week. There are printouts of many, many materials. So I want to flag a couple. We're really proud of the commission report, which there should be copies of, and I hope you take them all and read it. We've done 20 important papers. You need to take them all. I think they're good jumping off points. I'm going to plug two that I want people to read. My friend Max Bergman's The European Union's Enlargement Conundrum, because I go back to my deep thought about the EU accession. And I'm going to plug somebody else's paper because I think it's important. This is the American Chamber of Commerce's fact sheet that they produced in the run-up for this meeting. And Elizabeth Hoffman and I led a delegation of 4 Republican staffers and 4 Democratic staffers 3 weeks ago. And as a result of that meeting, the American Chamber of Commerce produced this fact sheet, which is out there. I encourage you all to take it, I encourage you all to download it, and I encourage you all to read it. Okay. So finally, we have limited space available if you want to hold bilateral meetings. We wanted people to meet each other and talk to each other. So you have to find staff located outside. We may not be able to accommodate everybody. Please be patient with us, okay? But if you want to schedule any bilateral meetings during the conference, it's on a first-come, first-served basis. So find my colleagues outside wearing purple badges to talk to them about that. Okay, I'm going to now return to the program. Sergiy has been an amazing strategic partner. Thanks, Sergiy. And you've helped tremendously in the planning of this. So it gives me really wonderful pleasure to introduce my friend Sergiy Tsivkach, CEO of UkraineInvest. Sergiy, come on up here.
Thank you, Dan. I would like to ask you to load the presentation. I have lobbied heavily to have a presentation today, and thanks to Romina and Dan and the whole team, I did manage to do that. So I thought it would be interesting to have a couple of slides, to set the tone for the rest of the event. Today's event is focused on doing business in Ukraine. So a couple of slides with information about investing in Ukraine. I think it doesn't work. The clicker. It's working now. So, investing in Ukraine. Let's look at some figures. Ukraine is in difficult economic shape, and this is explainable because we are in the war. It's a full-scale, illegal military invasion of Ukraine. So our GDP has shrunk by 29.1% in 2022, but now we are getting back, and we have positive forecasts for 2023 and 2024. Our currency has dropped heavily as well at the beginning of the war, but since October 2022, you can see that our currency is quite stable, and this is thanks to actions of the government of Ukraine and also international support. And you can see the chart of the biggest supporters of Ukraine. US is the individually country #1 that provided support to Ukraine. Military, political, humanitarian, social, economic support, more than $80 billion. And also European countries and EU as the group, as the club of the countries. US is investor number 8 in Ukraine, $1.3 billion as of 2021. I think we need to increase that number, and we have a very good potential to do that. So the next slide is very brief and short. Thank you, USA. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. For let us being independent, for let us being able to do business, to survive, and to be here today to talk about future of our countries. What we can do for you. Ukraine is not a charity project, it's a business project. It's a profitable country. And Ukraine is able to offer a number of incentives that are available for American industry specifically, for all international industry, and for Ukrainian companies. So Ukrainian government can offer a special investment agreement for investors that are doing business in Ukraine and planning new investment. You can choose applicable law to that contract with the government. You can choose a DR mechanism that will be applicable to that contract. You can fix business conditions at the moment when you sign this agreement. And also, if there will be any losses connected to actions of state for some reason, then you will be compensated by state. And there are many other things that are included in this incentive package. Investment projects can get up to 30% of state support of the capex invested in the country. Construction of related infrastructure can be done at the cost of the state. Up to 10 years CIT relief for companies that will do business in Ukraine now. And also CIT relief for specific industries. For example, if you manufacture electric vehicles, you will be exempt from taxes till 2036. And many of you will ask a question, how are you able to do that? Why are you doing this now? Because Ukraine is getting international support. Are you supposed to use at least part of that support to do the incentives? And I tell you yes, and I explain why. Because every FDI dollar that comes into Ukraine will generate additional dollar of local investment. And every working place that will be created through this incentive will generate at least 3 to 4 new working places, meaning more taxes, more ability to repay the debt, and to ensure even fruitful, better cooperation with our international partners. So we are thinking through carefully, and this is why we are doing that. Investment advantages. So you have investment incentives, but why to do business in Ukraine? Ukraine is a big European country. We have 19 FTAs with 46 countries. And these FTAs, they're different to what USA has, to what other countries have. That's why you will be able to penetrate new markets. We were granted EU candidate member status as of 23rd of June 2022, so we're joining the club soon, and I hope it will be sooner rather than later. The cost of rebuilding of Ukraine, at least $411 billion US dollars. That is the estimate that was given by World Bank at the beginning of summer 2023, and this is rising, unfortunately. According to estimations, that could rise up to 1 trillion or maybe even go beyond. This is an unfortunate case, but it's also a business perspective, a business opportunity to invest in Ukraine and to make profits. Right-shoring for US companies, and we call it right-shoring because we don't want to take a single American job from the US. We want you to expand to European continent, we want you to make more money, and at the same time creating working places in Ukraine. I don't know if many of you know, in 2021, there was a Savills nearshoring index. So Ukraine was ranked number 2 in that index out of 40 countries. Mexico, number 15th. Poland and Germany 39th, and Poland 19th. So you can see the potential for the nearshoring, but let's do this right-shoring. So it's relocating to the country with the most benefit for American industry, at the same time creating jobs in Ukraine and keeping in the US. Investment opportunities. I can talk for hours now about specific investment projects and specific industries. I have only a couple of them, just to give you a flavor. industrial equipment for SMEs alone. Our modest estimation, $25 billion at least. So this equipment can be produced in the US and supplied to Ukraine in the form of investments into Ukrainian companies. Energy efficiency, at least $27 billion are needed in order to transform our industry, transportation, households, and that would help us to save at least $7 billion a year in bills, paying for the bills by people and by industry. And today you have head of the Energy Efficiency Agency in this room, so please talk to her and she will explain to you in details. Construction materials, at least $1 billion is needed to build construction factories, and we have some big investments in our room today, and where they will be talking about their projects in Ukraine. At least 20 fields in oil and gas that needs investments, and that would help diversify our energy supplies and also make profits for American companies. And this is the map. This is what's happening in terms of new investments that happened and started after the 24th of February 2022. Carlsberg, $40 million. Semark, $30 million. Bayer, $65 million. Nestle, $40 million. Cerzanit, $60 million. And the cherry on the cake, Kingspan, Irish global company, that will invest at least $300 million in a greenfield project in Lviv. And they will build at least 6 factories and will produce energy-efficient construction materials. Thank you to Mike and the team for doing that, and also thank you for calling this project Sergiy. Translated from Irish, old Gaelic language, it means freedom from oppression. Thank you very much for doing this business in Ukraine. And I specifically want to show you the map. In red, you can see the front line and occupied territories. And in green, you can see where investment projects are happening. So Ukraine is not a big country in US terms. We are size of the Texas, but in European terms, we're big. So the distance between front lines and the projects where they've been implemented, you can compare them to size of 2 or 3 small European countries. So it's a big distance, and we are happy to accommodate you in Ukraine. And thank you to American companies that invested in Ukraine for many years and still do business. They keep jobs, they pay taxes, companies like Cargill, Coca-Cola, Citibank, EPAM, Bunge, Visa, and many others. Thank you very much for doing business in Ukraine. Many more information about Ukraine, about doing business in Ukraine, investment projects. You can check this information if you scan this QR code. It's called UkraineInvest Guide, and also you will find information about the regions of Ukraine. Contact us. We are Investment Promotion Office of the Government of Ukraine. We have a good track record. Since 2020, we have supported attraction of more than $1.7 billion to Ukrainian economy. And I would like to finish my talk with 2 quotes from 2 great men. One of them is the national hero of Ukraine, President Zelensky, who said that Ukraine is not only free, proud, and strong, but also open for business. And the other person is the national hero of the United States, the first president of the United States, George Washington, who said, let's not live for tomorrow, which can be done today. So let's talk business today. You have extensive business delegation from Ukraine in our room. Thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful cooperation.
Okay, I want to invite my friend, Director Ebong, to join us. USTDA has been such a key partner. Thank you, Director Ebong, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you,
Director. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. Good morning, everyone, and Dobry ranok to our Ukrainian friends who are with us this morning. Let me begin first by thanking the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and Dan in particular, excuse me, for hosting this important and timely discussion. It's been a real pleasure, excuse me, it's been a real pleasure to partner with Dan and his team here at CSIS to bring the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, the group of Ukrainians to this conference as part of the USTDA-funded trade mission. And following Sergiy, you can see that we have a group of highly engaged, highly experienced leaders from Ukraine. And it is really a pleasure to facilitate them being here at this conference. I also just want to note and commend the appointment of Secretary Pritzker as the U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine's economic recovery. I think her leadership is going to be a great cause for optimism on the road ahead. We in the U.S. government have been working together to make a difference in partnership with our colleagues in Ukraine. I note here our coordinator of the Office of U.S. Assistance to Europe and Eurasia is here, and you will hear from several colleagues of the efforts that we are making in collaboration on the future of Ukraine. As we talk about economic reconstruction and transformation, I do want to focus on three specific areas that I believe are critical to the successful implementation of Ukraine's infrastructure priorities. These are the importance of high-quality project preparation, the value of partnerships, and the importance of procurement systems that focus on best value over lowest cost. I think we all have an understanding of the challenges associated with the reconstruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. At USTDA, we believe that a starting point for addressing these challenges will be high-quality project preparation. And here's why. Sergiy has referenced all the opportunity for investment. The institutions that finance and invest in infrastructure want to be assured that the technical and financial analyses that they receive are accurate and reliable. Their standards are high and costly to meet, which is understandable when you consider that they may invest tens or hundreds of millions of dollars into just one project. So this represents a challenge because of the relative scarcity of resources for project preparation. So how does this tie on to USTDA? Well, 30 years ago, the US Congress established USTDA to help address challenges such as these. We provide grant-based funding for feasibility studies, technical assistance, and pilot projects that help develop the infrastructure priorities of our partner countries. The projects that we support also align with US private sector interests and offer opportunities for them to deploy high-quality solutions and innovative technology to meet our partners' requirements. So the opportunity to support the development of high-quality infrastructure that leads to economic growth overseas also provides the potential for exports and jobs here at home. As Sergiy reminds us, this is about business. One example of our work is in the nuclear power sector, where USTDA is funding technical assistance that will help deploy small modular reactor, or SMR, technology to Ukraine. The US company NuScale Power, which designs SMR power plants, is performing the assistance, which includes a licensing gap analysis that will be among the first steps towards introducing NuScale's technology to the country. Since our founding in 1992, we have funded more than 40 infrastructure development activities in Ukraine in sectors that include transportation, digital infrastructure, telecommunications, energy, and water. These sectors will also be critical to the revitalization of Ukraine's economy. As I mentioned earlier, as Dan also mentioned, this week USTDA is hosting 20 senior Ukrainian officials who will help guide their country's reconstruction efforts. The goal of this visit is to build partnerships with US financiers, suppliers, and regulatory and policy experts with the objectives of sharing knowledge and supporting our partners' efforts to find solutions to the challenges they face. These kinds of partnership building activities are a vital component of USTDA's programming. It's part of our programming in Ukraine and all over the world in the countries that we work in. Partnerships build stakeholders, and the right stakeholders will help increase the likelihood of positive outcomes for Ukraine's priorities. In addition to project preparation and partnership building, an often unspoken or underappreciated component of developing high-quality infrastructure is procurement. Strong public procurement practices can lead to infrastructure that is more resilient, sustainable, and efficient. In our experience, however, we've seen many international tenders that use lowest price as a primary deciding factor for award. This can lead to low-quality solutions, failed infrastructure projects, and harmful development outcomes. In response to this, USTDA's Global Procurement Initiative is training public procurement officials around the world on best practices in international procurement, with a particular focus on best value determinations and life cycle cost analyses. These methods open markets to greater international competition, helping partner countries acquire high-quality infrastructure with overall savings to their governments. Over the past 30 years, USTDA's partner countries have turned to us to support their most ambitious goals and overcome their most unimaginable challenges. Afghanistan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Haiti, Iraq, the countries impacted by the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, and those by COVID-19. We have applied our combination of tools to address some of the most pressing global development and geopolitical issues of the day. The enduring generational nature of our work has allowed our partners to meet their most pressing needs while building resilient infrastructure for the future. In Ukraine, we look forward to leveraging our decades of determined progress to address the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, and to witness Ukraine emerge stronger than ever. Thank you so much.